man. But no, this is exciting, man. Going live for the first time ever. I wanted to go live in order to be able to help out all the wanting to be or infant stage entrepreneurs out there, because just put out an episode this past week that was extremely powerful to me. To some, it might be a little boring and academic, but that's one of the things I notice when it comes to business. People want to skip over the boring and they want to get right to making a dollar, right? So that's one of my challenges when doing something like the one I did this past week about how legal mistakes can, kill your startup, is doing the things that are not pretty, focusing on the things that are not pretty. um, if anybody knows anything about content creation or anything like that, they know that the algorithm has it set up where you have to do things to be popular. You have to do things that are trending at the top, things that are hot, or you might not get as many views that you will want to get, or you won't be as popular, you won't go viral, all those things. So people go chasing the trends and so forth. So when making um, my episodes, I have to explore whether I'm going to chase the trend and the things that make people, I guess, a little enthusiastic because they want to chase a dollar bill, or try to give them their medicine, things that they need. And I have to do a balance between the two. So I always find myself saying, hey, how would you want someone to talk to you? What would you want to know? What did you wish you knew when you were going through this journey? And so everything I've been doing, especially in the past few months, has been looking at me when I first was starting out and getting an understanding of what I was starving for or what I was actually missing. And this is the part that, really put me in the right perspective where I can look at things from a right angle and say, hey, I need to feed people the right way. So everything I've been doing has been building on that. So if you listen to the past, I guess, 4 episodes, you'll see I was talking about how to, get confidence for investors. And it was about, yourself, your team, product, your market, right? And then I broke each one of those down because that is actually how, I learned how to approach it when I was going through this journey and all the mistakes I made. So it's not that I'm a genius. It's not that I'm worth $1 billion. It's just I've been through the process multiple times, and these are the things that I know you need to know. Not necessarily, it's not as sexy, it's not as attractive as for some people, but it's something that you need to know. So that's the reason why I am digging in and doing this. And that's why I did the legal aspect. Because so many of us, shake someone's hand, go in business, and don't know any of the legal ramifications, don't know any of the foundation, don't know anything at all. And what we could be building is a castle on sand, and it could just, go away. So I'm trying to help people build a system. I'm trying to help you get a payday, not a paycheck, as I say all the time. Um, so hopefully, these episodes have been helpful. I did this not knowing if anybody's going to show up, not knowing if it's going to be one person. If it's one person, they get a one-on-one. That is a golden ticket. So if they're smart, they would just get on. But it was more so because I want to be able to give insight on how I'm thinking when I'm doing these episodes, right? And answer any questions anyone might have that watched it, to get a little bit more insight into it. I'm going to do it every week. I don't care if it's by myself, because I'm going to have it there for broadcasting anyway, because I believe going in depth is important. There's a lot of things that I did in the video that I had to cut short because you can't make it too long, right? Because people already are bored with the legal aspect. Try to make it fun as possible. Uh, so there are a lot of other things that I can touch on and dig into that I think people need to know. But I really wanted to just kind of open it up, see if you had anybody out there that was interested in, asking any questions, any insight or whatsoever, and just getting an idea of how to help people out. Now, I do want to also do a little plugs here. I'm going to do some plugs here. I want to make sure that you're going over and you're getting your entrepreneur uh, type test quiz. That's important to know what type you are before you go in business, or if you're in business, know what type you are, so that way you can know your path and the things that you can handle and the things you can handle according to your personality in business. So I would say through that. We also have free ebooks. I want to make sure you take advantage of that. Startup kit, building confidence, all those kind of things. So I want to make sure I make that available for you guys as well. Um, and then also, if you haven't seen the latest episode, which I don't know why you wouldn't have, you can actually click on the link here and go to the actual episode where it deals with the legal matters in the structure of your business. So I think those things are very paramount, very important. So a couple things I wanted to do to kind of elaborate on a little bit is I wanted to elaborate on a couple things that I didn't get a chance to put in the video, and it was about when you hire a vendor, a contractor to do your programming or your design, you need to make sure. I mentioned about getting intellectual property, but you need to make sure that whatever stages you have payment in, you need to be taking possession of whatever work's been done to that point into your own possession. So onto your own server, or if it's something that's being physically designed, your prototypes, you need to be taking ownership of that as those stages happen. Also, you might need to determine where the work is going to be done. Is it going to be done on their server, your server? Also, you might need to say, hey, make sure you have work for hire language in there, that anything developed or even thought of under this is the property of the company, because that's where things can get very hairy as well. So you want to make sure of that. You don't want to be caught up into a bad situation when it comes to that, for sure. Let's see here. I'm trying to think of some other things that would be good for you to be able to have. Uh, some other things. Let me see. So, okay, when it comes to employee agreement, okay, that's a prime example. Employee agreement. Same thing. Work for hire. Work for hire. I am doing a little cheating, looking at some other things over here to see if I can share some things with you. But work for hire. Work for hire for employees. You need to make sure of that. That's big time. Okay, I'll give you one. So you went in business with somebody, your co-founders. They need to have an employment agreement too. So that's something that wasn't included in there. Investor agreement. So let's say they're a co-founder, but they're not an employee. Just because you're a founder don't mean you're an employee. So you got to know the separation between the two, and that's legal too, because employee is actually on the payroll and gets paid. An investor, a co-founder, that's an investor is just a person who's going to receive return on investment. So if they are employed, they need to have employee agreement besides a founder's agreement. If you listen to the video, we're supposed to have a founder's agreement, but also needs to have an investor agreement. And the parties, the partners, the employees, anybody who's getting some type of equity in the company, it needs to be a vesting schedule. If you don't know what vesting is, it's just like with your 401k. If you're working now or have worked in the past, where you put in so much time and that portion becomes vested. So you might say, hey, it takes 2 years for you to get to 100% vested. So that's 50% each year. So you need to have a vesting schedule. So that way, if somebody quits, it gets, bounces on you or something like that, you can have that in play as well. And you need to know about voting. What's the voting going to look like, man? What's the voting going to look like? So you want to make sure you know what the voting looks like and what the contingency plans are going to look like. So that's important. So I think it's very compelling to make sure that you are turning over every rock when you're building your foundation. I think the problem we get into is how do I get to the dollar real quick? And we skip over things or take shortcuts to do it. And then when we get to it, if there's any level of success, it all comes crumbling down. And it comes crumbling down because guess what? You didn't have a solid foundation. You were paper chasing, as they call it, right? Chasing that carrot, but you don't have the digestive system to keep it down. So you throw it all back up. So the whole thing that I try to focus on is making sure that you have the digestive system, that you have everything in place to be able to build. I think a lot of us have gotten away from that. We got into this thing they call side hustle, whatever. That's a quick buck. It's not sustainable. You're trying to, well, I'm thinking you're trying to build something to be sustainable or you can continue to make money. So I would say to you that if you're doing a side hustle or a quick buck or anything like that, then I'm going to argue and say you're not an entrepreneur. Point blank. You're not an entrepreneur. If you don't have a business that you are working on to produce revenue and your and income and doing all those things, you're not an entrepreneur. You're just a person hustling, right? Um, you're just trying to flip a dollar. And people, I think, have taken that term of entrepreneurship and they have used that term. I can call it illegally since we're talking about legal, right? So, and I tell anybody to challenge me on that. The definition of entrepreneur. So I would say that until you make it a legitimate business, it's not. So everybody who's online selling you on how to make a buck, how to make money, all about money, 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 money. They're just people selling you to make money off of you. So everybody's hustling each other. So I just want to make sure that you have a strong foundation and that you're moving right. So that's the reason why I basically I telling you all these things because this is the reason why I put together this particular episode. Now I have one that I'm working on next week. I might have gave you a little bit of sneak peek into it by talking a little bit about it there, but I really fundamentally believe that there's things that you need to know as a real legitimate entrepreneur, not a hustler, not a con, not a get rich quick type of thing. You can't become a millionaire in 30 days. No, not happening. Ain't happening. No one's gonna tell you how to make I teach you how to make $100,000 a month in a 7-week course. Come on, bro. Yeah, by selling 7-week courses. That's how you do it, right? And I'm not trying to trash anybody, but what I'm saying, well, we got to get ourselves in the frame of mind. If you're an entrepreneur, you're really looking to try to do business and you're trying to do it legit, that you got to slow it down. It's not going to happen overnight. You got to slow it down. You got to know that it's a process that you got to go through, that you got to learn these things. And that's the problem that I have is that a lot of people get caught up in thinking things are going to just happen real quick and you know and if it doesn't then it's not legitimate. I'm going to say that's not the case. In all, I just wanted to make sure I came on here and gave everybody opportunity if they wanted to ask some questions or not or find out a little bit more in depth that I will be available for them. So I will be doing this every week no matter what, every week. If I got to talk to myself every week, which it won't be to myself because once I release this, it'll be to anybody who wants to listen to it to get more in-depth knowledge. No, I'm not telling you how to get rich. I'm telling you how to keep it when you get it. I'm telling you how to make sure you don't go to jail because you broke the law. I'm telling you how to make sure that you can make it grow exponentially because you have the system in play. So that's what I'm going to teach you. So please put some comments down there. If you listen to this, tell me what you think, what your feedback is. And hopefully, I will be able to talk to you guys next week after this week's release on Thursday. This one should be really good and maybe spark some interest. This is your boy, J.I., a random podcast, man. I'll holler at you guys on the other side. Peace.